are probably the hardest part of this model, and there are so many different ways to make feet. There's no one thing that's right, there's no one thing that's wrong. We're just going to do our best. I'm going to start with a cube. You all know that it's my favorite shape. It's my favorite shape. I'm going to give it a couple of subdivisions in each direction. 4. 4 might be too many. We'll see. Then I'll just pull it up to where the foot is in the drawing and do some scaling. That looks good. Now that I'm here, I can see that my squares have stretched out to become rectangles in this direction, but they're still cubey over here. So I'll come back into my inputs, and I think that this is depth. So I'll give it a couple more subdivisions here just so that they stay kind of, sort of, cubish. And now I've got a lot of geometry, and I may not need it all, so I reserve the right to go back and delete some later on. I'll tackle the front view first. In the front view, I'm going to go to vertex mode and grab this bottom row of vertices. I'll use a tool called Soft Select, which is the B key on my keyboard. As soon as I press B, you'll see that the model turns pretty colors. Yellow at the bottom, up to black at the top. With Soft Select, what I've got is the ability to make changes with falloff. So instead of just scaling this one row of vertices, I will scale all the rows of vertices. Soft Select is a toggle. B turns it on, B turns it back off. I can also change the Soft Select radius by holding down B and middle mouse dragging side to side. So if the change that I made was too big, I can use a smaller Soft Select radius and make a slightly more subtle change, which might be nice. Now I can come down here, and in the front view, maybe I'll use the Move tool, pull that out, start pushing this in. Pull some of these down, maybe even scale them a little bit inwards. And the same thing over here. Maybe I will even rotate this to help me form my heel. And move that in just a tiny bit. And that's going to give me something kind of shoe-shaped. Let's see what happens when I hit the 3 key. I think that looks a bit chunky, so I am going to get rid of some of these edges. I will turn Soft Select off with B, and now if I don't like an edge, I can double-click it. I don't want to delete it. That would leave all of the vertices behind. Instead, I want to Control delete it, and that's going to remove the vertices along with the edges. Maybe I will also get rid of these 2 edges here, and again that will be a Control delete, and that's going to give me a rounder, softer shoe. If I want it to be even more shoe-like, I can take my Soft Select. This time I'm going to need a bigger radius because I have fewer vertices, and maybe I'll give this a slight angle to the toe. And then I can go to Edge Mode, double-click one of these edges, and I can pull this a little bit in. That's not enough Soft Select. And again, maybe just a touch of rotation. So that's going to give me my kind of cartoonish shoe that I'm looking for. Now all I have to do is attach this to the leg. I've gone into face mode and I've turned Soft Select off. Remember how I said earlier that 8 was 4 times 2? Well, that means that if I take 4 four-sided faces like these four faces right here. I can delete them, and that's going to give me an opening with 8 edges. 8 edges, by pure coincidence, is the same number of edges that I have in an 8-sided cylinder. Because these two things both have 8 edges, that's going to make it really easy for me to combine. There's combine, then go to edge mode, take this loop, shift double click this loop, and bridge. I didn't even mention it before, but bridge will only work if you have the same number of edges in both of your selections. So 8 is perfect. Now that I've got the shoe attached to the foot, I can continue to make changes using all of my many tricks, but basically I'm ready to connect this leg to the body. I will use the same trick. I'll come into my body and I'll just take 4 faces. Ooh, I have a second eye monster. Let's delete that. So I'll come into my body. I will delete 4 4-sided faces. Then I will combine. And in edge mode, double click, shift double click, and bridge. I might give this one a couple of divisions just so that I can keep the roundness of the head. 2 might be too many, maybe 1 is all I need. And that is half an eye monster. In my next video, I will go through mirroring to get that second leg.